Hey y'all, welcome back. So this is another installment of Who is Clarence, timeshare Clarence specifically. And what I wanted to get into this episode is basically why. I went through the changes that I've gone through and strive to continue to go through the changes that I desire to go through and believe I need to go through to be the person that I want to be. So again, like the timeshare concept itself to me is basically making consistent investments in things that are important, to not leave it up to chance or have to sacrifice so much at one point in time to make up for not having a plan in place or neglecting the things that are important on a consistent basis. So, like, how did I get there? Um, I've heard a lot of entertainers, motivational speakers, public figures talk about their past and like what was the moment that turned their lives around. Whether one day they were sitting around and they had a negative bank account, or they had $21, or just whatever was going on in their situation, and they made a decision that my life is not going to look like this. I'm going to make some of myself and my life committed. And yeah, it took time, but they eventually accomplished great things. At least things great enough for them to be in the public eye. People that other people choose to follow or gravitate to because of the things that they've accomplished in one area or another. So, like, the turning point for me is not a moment, it's just more situational. As I said, the most important thing to me, or the biggest driving force behind me trying to do what I'm trying to do and accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish, is my kids. But the reason is because, like, I don't have my kids. More importantly, I don't have my family. So I'm divorced, and that's not something I ever really wanted. Like I said, I always wanted to be married, I always wanted to have a family, but I wasn't really taught, how to be a good husband, how to be a good father. I mean, in reality, I don't think I was taught how to be good at anything other than being respectful, and I guess I would say being an honorable person. So throughout my adult life, I've made so many mistakes and bad choices. And the vast majority of them was because of either ignorance, a lack of understanding. Sometimes it was, I think some people would consider it being selfish, but obviously being the person I am, I don't feel like that was my intent. I just felt like, I did what made sense to me based off my understanding of situations at the time. And I was open to change. It just had to make sense. And unfortunately, either the people that were trying to facilitate the change by telling me things or showing me things, I didn't understand those things, or they didn't effectively communicate. So it led to a lot of confusion and misunderstandings. And I always tried to make the best decision I could in whatever situation that I was in. I've never tried to harm anyone. I've never tried to take advantage of anyone. And ultimately, like, I still end up letting my family down. So I believe my older kids and my first wife really have been shown the exact opposite of how I felt and what my desires were as a husband and as a father. I just really didn't know what I was doing. And on one hand, I thought that I was doing the right thing. I thought that I was being a good husband, a good father, prioritizing the things that I was taught to prioritize. But those things were providing, those things were creating an environment to instill discipline, respect, teach the kids to be honest, responsible, mature, things like that. And even though I loved them, I don't think that I understood how important it was that everything started in love, because that's not how I process things. So for me, everything started with responsibility. So I've learned over the years, and specifically with my family, and what I feel like honestly is failing my family as the leader I should have been. I didn't have my priorities straight. I was just worried about providing, making sure that bills were paid, making sure financial obligations were met. Probably took on too much trying to provide happiness through, again, material things, which is why I don't really value that stuff as much as I used to, because I saw how much more value experiences were, or how much more valuable experiences were. And ultimately, a lot of things that I regret, they were intentional decisions. Like, yeah, I regret not doing what I needed to do to go to U of M. I regret, at least in part, not going to college straight out of high school. I regret dropping out of school. I regret not going to any of my school functions. But even it is a regret, but it's not like huge. And all of those things I can really live with, because they were my decisions, and like I made those decisions based off my actual desire at the time, whether it was wrong or right. But the things that really made me change are the decisions and the actions that I took that I didn't understand and weren't, or at least the outcomes weren't intentional. I didn't understand the impact of the decisions, and I really didn't understand what it meant to make the decisions that I made. So, losing everything will make you reevaluate some stuff. I personally, I'm not a prideful person, so I don't really mind sharing what I feel like are my mistakes. But at the same time, I don't necessarily know that the people that certain things involve will really want certain things put out to the world. So I'm not going to get into all of the details, just to say that I wasn't what I should have been. I wasn't there for the people that I should have been there for, in the ways that I should have been there for them when they needed me to be. And now I don't really have the relationships that I would desire to have with those people. So that's one part of like me hitting rock bottom. I don't think everybody has to hit rock bottom to change, but when you want something so bad and you are as far away from that thing as you can be, and you have to accept that it's because of you. Like, you could have it. You could have had it had you listened more, had you not needed to be understood but had the desire to understand other people first. So that really changed everything in my life. And for some things is going to be a tremendous benefit, because I mean, I'm 41, I got a lot of time left and I can accomplish a lot in certain areas, but in certain areas there's no going back. And you don't really get to determine what's, as they say, the straw that breaks the camel's back. One of kind of standout lines from one of my favorite artists, Mos Def, and I'm again, it's not verbatim, but he said something like about the straw that broke the camel's back was the secret, the million other straws underneath it. And that always stuck with me. Is like, it's not one thing. Like, you put somebody to the breaking point, it might be one thing you might not and you might not feel that one thing is big enough to be a breaking point or be unforgivable. But people don't necessarily remember what happened. People don't necessarily remember what was said, what was done. But people remember how you felt or how you made them feel. Feelings really dictate memories. Emotions dictate memories. And I feel like most of the memories that the vast majority of us create unintentionally are negative, which is why I have such a strong desire to intentionally create positive memories with and for the people that I care most about. So that's really like why like I went into this area of my life that I would dub timeshare Clarence, because there's been different versions. And like I said, this 2 episodes past the time where I was supposed to get to the military thing, but you know, this is life and this is how things work out. This was more pressing on my mind to address, because I really, where I'm at right now, this is the first time I've ever been excited about a year in my life. And I do feel like I will accomplish a lot of things this year and move closer to my goals, reach some of my goals. But ultimately, it's by myself. And that was never the plan. That was never the intent. That was never the desire. And I don't point fingers. I don't blame anyone else. There's no speculation. The reason I'm by myself is because of my decisions, because of my attitude, because of my refusal to be open to things being different in the way that I thought they should be, because of how I was raised, because of what I was taught, because of how I was conditioned. And I learned through the failures that the reality is there is no specific black and white outline of how things should be. And the people in your life, if you're going to keep those people in your life, whatever your life looked like has to also suit those people, not just you. It can't just be your way. You can't only care about the things that are important to you. So for me, really having that understanding and adopting the mentality that my goals should not primarily be to be understood, but to understand other people, that really was the shift. That was what created this path to me becoming a different person, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. My brother Devin told me that a few weeks ago. We was having a conversation, and I think just in the conversation, you know, I think he realized some of the things that he believed to be true weren't true, and vice versa. But when you don't have the conversations, then you don't know these things. People run through their whole lives with their beliefs and assumptions. And a lot of times those things are so far from the truth, it's ridiculous. But if you don't create an environment to foster openness and honest communication, where people feel safe, where people feel like you care about what they're going to say, that they are going to be heard. Like, why would anybody really choose to talk in a situation where they don't feel like whatever they have to say matters? And for my part, I feel like I've been in too many situations where I just wanted people to listen to me. And it's not that I didn't want to listen to them. It's I wanted them to understand what I had to say first. And then, I would try to understand. But, it doesn't work like that. You got to be open. You got to give people an environment to feel like they can be themselves and express themselves safely, that they won't be attacked, that they won't be judged, they won't be criticized. And that was one of the biggest lessons in my life. I wish I had learned it earlier. That's one of the reasons my grandfather was somebody that I looked up to, because I did see how much he changed compared to the person he was, when I really got to know him versus the person he was in the stories that everybody told me about him when he was younger. And that essentially I feel like is the same position I put myself in, that the older, more mature version of me will be completely different than the version of me when I was younger. But I still essentially got to pay for the decisions that I made as a younger man. And I'm cool with that. I don't really have a choice to be, because, you play the cards that's dealt. And when you're the dealer, you can't really complain about the hand that you have. You just got to play it and then hope the next hand is better. But for my part, unintentionally, I put myself in the last position I want to be in, away from my family. I'm not able to be active in my kids' lives. I lost my chance to really grow into the type of husband I wanted to be in that situation. And hopefully I'll continue to grow. I'll continue to mature. I'll gain more and more wisdom. But what I learned from that is that that's what I need to do. And I need to become the best version of myself. And that's what I'm trying to do. So, like I said, what timeshare Clarence was, but this is the reason for it, because, military Clarence and Steel Foundry Clarence and Popeyes Clarence and lost, hurt, trying to find himself Clarence, like all these different iterations of myself. None of them have been close to what I want to be. And ultimately, this next version is as close to that as I can come, with the amount of education, the amount of information, the amount of experience, and the amount of wisdom that I've gained from all those other versions of myself. So, so that is what started this journey. Where it ends, who knows? But the intentions are for it to end with me being healthy, happy, wealthy, respected, appreciated, loved, valued, and providing all those things for all of the people that I care about. And so that's where I'm at today. I get to the military thing at some point, but that's what's behind Timeshare Clarence as to why I felt the need to really change and grow and become a different person. So until next time, I'll let y'all. Peace.